Michigan and Michigan State.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, okay. I don't even know where I want to start on this. Was it everything I thought it was going to be? Obviously not, because I was calling for 60, 70 points. But almost 300 yards rushing again. Dominant. Michigan State had -1 total yards in the second half. Definitely dominant. Outside of Keon Coleman, we didn't really get all that much out of the passing game. Now, he had a dominant game, 150 yards receiving. Um, Demond Green, man, I don't know, bro. It's just like he's allergic to catching the football. He cannot. He will not. He refuses. Like he's allergic to the football on his palms. Nowhere else, but just like on his palms, he's allergic to the football. It repels. I don't know what it is about that guy. He always be right there too. He always had perfect coverage, and he can just never play the ball. So yeah, that happened, and he broke some zone coverage too. You could clearly see that was just their game plan, though. It was like, all right, we're gonna try to run it, whether or not we get yardage or not. We're gonna stick to it, and we're gonna drop back, throw it to Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman on 3, ready, break. that was the game plan essentially. The thing that kind of kept them in the game was our red zone offense. And I felt like while, JJ's still getting better, the offensive line's still dominating, we regressed a little bit on the play calling side, I think, in wide receiver play. Like, Cornelius Johnson had one of the worst games I think I've ever seen him play. But the problem is that you would like to be able to say, but that's an aberration. He doesn't usually do well, but I've seen other games this year that Cornelius Johnson is dropping passes. And so kind of how we were talking about Cade McNamara in the beginning of this season, how far can you take us? How impactful are you when you are on the field? And it was negative impact for him. And so you don't want to set a guy out or pull him in a rivalry game, but at the same time, there are guys that need burn on our sideline right now. There are guys that need an opportunity. If CJ is wasting his, it's time to give somebody else a shot. Andrell Anthony is a name that really has gone this entire season without being called at all. He hasn't done anything. And it's because the few times that they try to bring him in, now guys know. When you bring Andrell Anthony onto the field, it's like, oh, well, because he's not out there playing a lot. So when he comes on, they're like, oh, they're going to him. They're going to try to throw it deep to him. They're going to throw a screen to him. They're going to try to get it to him somehow. And then it ends up getting stopped. Same thing happened with Roman Wilson this game. Right? As soon as Roman Wilson gets in the game, they throw on one pass, and they got 2 guys on him already. Stopping for a loss. So it's like when you're not playing the guys, Roman Wilson's been hurt, but Andrell Anthony, when you're not playing them, it becomes easier to figure out when you want to use them. He needs to be out there. And I'm not saying CJ doesn't play, but let's start splitting up those snaps a little more, because I think Andrell's a little bit more deserving right now. Defense looked good. Yeah, the game was just good. It was good. Blake Corum got about 180. Donovan contributed. JJ was running. No picks. 1 touchdown. Just a controlled ass whooping. Nothing to see here. Smooth 29-7. We pushed on the 22.5. I think that's what it bumped up to. Late Friday. So they pushed. You know what I mean? What else do you want? You want a dub, number 1 in a rivalry game. You got one. And then you want to rub their nose in it a little bit. And we did that. Now, what ensued after?
Bush League. Trash.
Fam. You serious? Now listen. We've seen rivalries get testy. We've seen rivalries go beyond the football. The one thing that everyone is in agreement on, whether it's Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, whoever, is that it's it stays on the field.
Oh yeah.
On the field. Even if you're going to fight, right? Watched Charles Woodson and what was that receiver? Boston.
David Boston.
Right? Watched them have a whole scrap on the field. Not the first time either. From Ohio State Michigan rivalry. Them guys did it like in the game. It's one thing for tempers to flare and you fight on the field. It's something completely different to jump a player who didn't even hit the field. Jay McBurrows is a redshirt freshman. He doesn't even play. Y'all jaded.
And it's another thing when it's 10, 12 guys.
Like, damn, what is up with y'all? And I can't say I'm sure because I have no idea what happened. But just my common sense tells me that something was probably said that prompted all of that. But nothing he could have possibly said is warranting jumping him. Hell, I probably would have been a lot lighter on this if it was just one player. If the one player just separated and said, "Well, scrap then." If you got so much to say, then scrap. Still Bush League, right? But at least it's not 10 players assaulting one in the tunnel after y'all just got blew out on the field. That feels a bit like y'all trying to get some of that aggression back that y'all should have put on the football field.
I agree.
It feels like. And now for Big Melly over here, bruh, that's a reflection on you. See, everybody loves the cigars and the Lamborghinis and the pit bulls and the pouting on the sideline and the demonstrative looking on the sideline, the grimacing and the sweat on his brow. Everybody loves that when you're winning. When you're losing, they fucking hate it. They hate it, and they attribute all of that shit back to what happened on Saturday. Now, everything that you've been doing in the offseason to get these transfers in here, now that's exactly what they're pointing to explain this situation. So, like, there's perception, and the perception was, good coming. Reality is that your football team is undisciplined. You're not developing players because you are losing a third of your roster every time you start going to an offseason and replacing it with guys, again, who are leaving their own programs for reasons. Weren't playing, behavioral, grades, whatever. Like, they are leaving their situations for a reason. You do not simply just reload in the portal and say, okay, we got us a squad, let's go. Number one, you have no idea what it is you're getting. You don't know. You haven't coached these players. You didn't recruit them. Number two, how do you build a culture that way? You're seeing the fruits of that now. You are literally seeing the fruits of that. Yeah, quick turnaround. Great. Won 11 games. Very next year, is Michigan State going to win a bowl? Or are they going? Are they going to go? Going to a bowl? Are they going bowling? They're 3-5. They're 3-5. They got more dubs in the tunnel than they do on the damn field. Come on, man. What are we doing over here? You running a football team or a fight club? What we got going on, bro? This gangland? Michigan State fans will like to give you this narrative about them being the little guy, the small guy, you know what I mean? The working class guy. We're the people's football team of Michigan. They're the elitists. They're the ritzy crowd out there in Ann Arbor. And then you do this. No, that's not the little guy, bro. That's the chump. So, yeah. I don't know what's going to happen with Big Melly time over there. I know I better not ever hear the words Tuck coming ever again. Like Ray Corum said in his post-game conference, I thought Tuck was coming. I seen him leaving. We saw him. He showed up, and now he leaving on the Rutgers.
Is it strange that this happened so closely to Draymond also punching a former Michigan player. Like, what are they doing at Michigan State? What is this?
Hey, man, I don't know what they got going on over there at Michigan State, bro, but, I don't know. I don't know. There's nothing more that needs to be said. They're a bad football team, and unfortunately, they showed that they were a bad program after the game.
Yeah.
It went from just being a bad year, bad team to, okay, now like the program's rotten.
Yeah.
And you can't deny that. You can't. You can't come out here if you're Mel Tucker and act as if everything's okay, because it's not. You're losing, and your players aren't even they're not conducting themselves the way that they should be in the face of loss. I've watched a lot of Michigan losses. I've never seen a player jumped in the tunnel after a Michigan loss. I've never seen that. I've seen a lot of Michigan beatdowns in the big house too. A lot worse than 29-7, and I've never seen a player jumped in the tunnel ever.
Does this pose any concern about things that maybe James Franklin has brought up in the past about maybe the tunnel should be?
As Jim Harbaugh said this week, we don't have that time. We don't have time for that type of sophomoric whining. We don't have time for whining. Walk up the tunnel, go to your locker room, come out of your locker room, go to the field. When the game is over, you go up the tunnel, you go to your locker room. What's so hard? You don't throw peanut butter sandwiches. You don't scream at strength and conditioning coaches at the top of your lungs like a girl. You don't jump a player. In either one of those instances, what did that got to do with Michigan? What did Michigan do to put them in the position to do any of that?
I got nothing.
They said mean things to us. They antagonized us. We had no choice but to chuck our peanut butter sandwiches. And they ran up the score, so we decided to pick off one of their younglings and destroy him. What are we talking about here? Walk up the tunnel. Walk up the tunnel. That's it. You want to fight? Feel it out that way. It's the green thing out there with the big yellow M in the middle of it. Do it there. Yeah, absolutely no fight on the football field, but wanted to fight up the tunnel. Same thing with Penn State. You were lifeless in this game. All of the energy in this locker room. It's not the tunnel. It's you.